It's almost midnight, and the only light on your face is the phone. You're watching someone else's life, and something in your chest goes quiet and small. Nothing in your own life changed in the last minute. So why does it suddenly feel like less? Look at what actually happened there. You watched someone's kitchen, someone's trip, someone's easy laugh in a better city than yours, and without deciding to, you ran the math. Their highlight against your whole ordinary day. And you lost. You always lose because you're comparing your whole life to the 6 best seconds of theirs. You close the app a little tired of a life that, 60 seconds ago, was completely fine. And here's the part that should bother you. You didn't notice it happen. Nobody charged you at the door. No voice asked, "This next 30 minutes will cost you some quiet affection for your own life. Do you accept?" You just paid it. You pay it most days. And the strange thing is, the man who wrote the clearest cure had every reason never to compare himself to anyone alive, and he still sat in a private notebook reminding himself to stop looking at other people's lives. We'll get to who he was. One honest offer before we keep going. If guarding your attention sounds worth doing, and I suspect the last minute just made the case, then subscribing here is a way to point some of it at something that hands it back to you instead of draining it. One old idea a week, aimed at the life you actually live. That's the deal. Now, the notebook. And the man who kept it. The man was Marcus Aurelius, Emperor of Rome. For most of his reign, the single most powerful human being on earth, with nothing above him to envy, and no one whose life he had reason to want. And in his private journal, the one he never meant for you or anyone to read, he keeps writing himself the same quiet instruction. Stop living in other people's business. Stop running the endless tape of what they're doing and saying and having. Do not, he writes, waste what is left of your life in thoughts about other people. Sit with that. The Emperor of Rome had to talk himself out of comparison. So this thing you feel at midnight is not a modern glitch that better settings will fix. It is old, and it is human, and even absolute power did not switch it off. Now here's the piece almost everyone misses. You already suspect their life is edited. You tell yourself it's a highlight reel, that the kitchen is staged, that nobody is really that happy. And you're often right. But watch closely, because being right does not help. You feel worse anyway. And that is the tell. If knowing it's curated doesn't stop the ache, then the ache was never really about whether their life is real. Their life was never the thing being weighed. Yours was. So let's name what it actually cost, because it's more than a bad mood. Marcus put his finger on the real bill. When you spend your attention on what someone else is doing, he says, you lose the chance to do something of your own. That's the cost, not the sting. The sting fades by morning. The cost is the minutes, and under the minutes, the life. Every stretch you spend inside someone else's afternoon is a stretch you are not inside your own. You're not making the thing, taking the walk, calling the person, living the ordinary hour that was yours to live. You traded it to feel small. So here's the line I want you to keep. Their life being better doesn't make yours worse. Comparison is the only thing that does. Nothing was subtracted from your life while you scrolled, except the scrolling itself. And there's the whole trap in one sentence. Comparison is a tax you pay to feel worse about a life that was actually fine. You hand over your attention, your evening, a little of your contentment, and in return you get the distinct feeling that your life is the smaller one. It's the worst deal you'll make all day, and you make it without noticing. So here's the practice, in 3 moves, not a system. 3 things to do the next time your chest goes small. First, see the tax. The moment you feel it, that quiet drop when someone's life looks bigger than yours, Name it for what it is. Not truth, a charge. Say it plainly in your head. I am about to pay to feel worse. Just seeing the tax as a tax breaks the spell, because you stop treating the feeling as a fact about your life and start treating it as a toll you can decline. Second, don't reach for the dish that isn't yours. Epictetus taught with a picture I've never been able to shake. Think of life as a banquet, he said. Dishes come around the table. When one reaches you, put out your hand and take a decent portion. When it passes you by, let it go. Don't chase it down the table. And when it hasn't come to you yet, don't send your desire out ahead of it. Their trip, their ring, their kitchen, their easy year, that is a plate being carried to someone else's seat. You don't lunge across the table for it. You take what is set in front of you, and you eat like a guest, not a thief. Third, run your own line. Marcus again in the same notebook. How much time he saves, he writes, who does not look to see what his neighbor is doing, but only at what he himself is doing, that it be just and honest. Then the image. Run straight along your own line, he says, without glancing at the next one. That is a plowman's picture. The furrow only comes out straight when you keep your eyes on your own ground. The second you look sideways to see how deep the next field is cut, your own line starts to wander. Now let me draw a careful line, because this idea gets flattened into a cliché. This is not a rule against ever admiring anyone. Admiration is not the tax. There's a clean kind of looking that leaves you steadier, even lit up. You see someone do good work, and you go make your own. You see a life you'd like, and it points you at a real step you can take Monday. That kind of looking gives you fuel and hands you back to your life. Keep it. What we're talking about is the other kind. The reflexive scroll that leaves you smaller and pointed at nothing, that doesn't move you to build, only to ache. That's the tax. And this is not a lecture to throw your phone in a lake and go live on a mountain. You don't have to quit anything. The people whose lives you watch aren't villains, and they aren't lying to you on purpose. Most of them are just showing their good 6 seconds, the same as you do. There's nothing to resent there. The work isn't to think less of them. It's to stop treating their life as the standard for a life that was never theirs to grade. So that is the whole thing. Comparison is a tax you pay to feel worse about a life that was actually fine. See the tax when it lands. Don't reach for the dish that isn't yours. Keep your eyes down and run your own line. And underneath all three, the one thing to carry out of here. Another person's life was never the measure of yours. It wasn't when an emperor felt it, and it isn't tonight on your couch in the blue light. So here's the small thing to actually do. The next time your chest goes small mid-scroll, don't argue with yourself about whether their life is real. That's a debate you can't win and don't need. Just put the phone face down and do one ordinary thing in your own life in the next 10 minutes. Make the coffee, take the walk, text the friend back. Not to feel better. To be back inside your own life instead of standing at the window of theirs. If you'd like one of these each week, a single old idea that hands your attention back to you, subscribe, and keep one in reach for the next quiet midnight. Daily Stoic mentality. Ancient wisdom for the modern mind.